Now, yesterday, the shares of Naspers closed the day up 22%, which meant that they closed the day trading over 2,300 rands per share, which is one of the things, or some of the local SA stock which was trending the whole of yesterday, which is something that of course excites those that have been investing into this Naspers stock. I mean, this is a stock that we discuss a lot about on this channel. I also owned a couple of shares of Naspers, but of course when I saw that huge growth in a short space of time, obviously I ended up trimming my Naspers holdings. But of course we'll discuss more about that and why I decided to do that on this video. Now, you remember that the last video we did about Naspers this past week Saturday, we're talking of what is it that we need to expect in terms of the earnings or in terms of the financial results that Naspers provided or gave us yesterday. Now, the surging of Naspers shares, of course, came regardless of Naspers, of course, reporting, of course, a net profit which was below the net profit they had reported last year. It came after Naspers reported a headline or a lower headline earnings per share compared to the headline earnings per share they reported last year around the same time. Now, ladies and gents, one thing which led to the shares of Naspers obviously to start surging the way they surged yesterday is because, or it was after we read an announcement of those earnings or at those results that Naspers will be trimming their 10% holdings and starting with the share buyback program. Now, you remember that share buyback, it's always considered to be a very good thing, as, ladies and gents, it reduces the number of outstanding shares of a company. Now, of course, before we dig deep into this video, you already know that this video is just an entertainment video and you should not take it as a professional financial advice video. Now, I really appreciate if you can just hit that like button if you do enjoy the content that I'm giving you about the Naspers shares surging up 22% yesterday. Now, without wasting any more time, after seeing that Naspers shares surged for over 22% in just one day, I went in, of course, my Naspers holdings and trimmed it, trying to obviously go and buy other shares or buy other stocks which I foresee some good future growth, which of course I'm not saying, or the fact that I trimmed my Naspers holdings, it does not mean that Naspers is not going to do well, or does not mean that Naspers probably shares won't continue rising. But what it just means is that probably I see more opportunities outside, and the probability of Naspers shares surging another 22%, according to me, I personally think that it might not happen in the near future. But obviously, this is something that if you are in it for a long time, you are going to definitely see another 22%. But to me, I just saw that 22% came in very quickly and fast in just one day, which just made me to obviously consider trimming my Naspers shares, as I was already up 60 or over 60% on this stock. So I took some of my money and went in and buy or load the boat on some of the stocks that most of you already know that I discuss on this channel, because I'm seeing more opportunity in terms of capital appreciation in those stocks, which is why I decided to do what I did. I mean, if you had to go in and look at the earnings that they reported yesterday, you'll notice that, of course, their total revenues increased by 24%, but their trading profit went down by 6%. And we, of course, when we go or look at the headline earnings, it also dropped by 16%, which is, of course, to those that are investing into this stock, it was a bit of a concern. But the good thing is that Naspers had already came us and told us and warned us about this on their trading statements, which is something that, of course, we were always aware, or we were made aware by Naspers to say that they are expecting to, of course, their trading profit to go down. They're expecting the headline earnings to go down and their earnings per share, which is exactly the same thing that, of course, we see when we compare to the kind of results they produced last year around the same time. Now, like I said, the main reason why we saw the shares of Naspers rising or surging by 22% or over 22% in just one day was the fact that Naspers came out and announced that they will be trimming their Tencent holdings and of course start a share buyback program, which is something that, like I said, it's always taken as a very bullish move from a company. Now you remember that one thing besides them doing a share buyback, you remember that there were some local analysts who believe that if Naspers actually sells or starts selling Tencent, then it will unlock its real value. Those of you that have been following for some time, I mean, I did a video, I think a month or two, explaining what most of the analysts or some analysts are saying about Naspers unbundling its Tencent holdings, which is something that, of course, it brought a lot of excitement to get to see that obviously Naspers is going to start trimming further their Tencent holdings and doing a share buyback, which is something that obviously made most of the analysts, I suppose, in SA to really like this move, which is why more people, I think, they went in and loaded the boat onto this Naspers stock, which is something that, like I said, it is a good thing. But one thing for sure, like I said, my sentiment on Tencent is still the same. I personally believe that even if they were not trimming, or they decided not to trim the Tencent holdings, I personally believe that we are still going to see the shares of Naspers rising in the future, because like I said, the reason why Tencent shares were dropping is simply because of the crackdowns that, of course, were imposed by the Chinese regulators, trying to do some crackdowns on the big tech stocks and educational stocks, which of course we read 2 or 3 months ago to say that they are concluding or putting the, of course, crackdowns to an end, which is one of the things that, of course, will definitely make the stock or a tech stock like Tencent to recover, and which, by the way, when it does that, we are also going to see, of course, the shares of Naspers doing the same. Now, of course, it is a good move to obviously see Naspers also trimming probably more of their Tencent holdings, because you remember that also one of the main reasons why the Naspers shares were down is because Tencent shares were also going down. So in a way, it looks like Naspers shares were sort of like directly proportional to Tencent shares. When Tencent shares rises, Naspers shares rises. When Tencent shares drops, Naspers shares also dropped, which is something that, of course, getting to seeing Naspers trimming further their holdings will make, obviously, Naspers to not be much directly proportional to, of course, the shares of Tencent rising or dropping, which is something that obviously made people to like that. Otherwise, we thought that, guys, I just thought I should just give you this quick update as to why the shares of Naspers rise by over 22% yesterday. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, consider hitting that like button, comment, and subscribe. And once you subscribe, don't forget to hit that notification bell so that at least you get notified by YouTube every time I drop a new content. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey. And before you load the boat onto Naspers, as like I told you, this is a good long-term stock. Please consider doing your own due diligence so that at least you can be comfortable when you are investing your money. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey, and God bless you all.